So when I'm referring to reaction reality, this can be in combination to what we can understand would be reality. Reaction, response, reality. And so what does this mean? Whenever we're functioning together in reaction reality or reality, we're looking into the idea about how we are bringing about meaning towards everything that we encounter, everything that we experience. We're looking more into the chain of purpose. That everything is categorized, that everything is black and white. Everything can be cataloged, everything can be identified, everything can be acted and reacted to in that state of meaning. And so again, that's part of what we understand reality to be. We all have names. We all have names for devices. We have names for nature. We have names for our homes. We have names for our streets. You know, it just goes on and on and on. Everything is categorized, cataloged in that particular way. And this would be the degree of involved reality, which means that we are becoming involved. We are subjectively placing meaning towards everything that we can identify with within reality. And we can look at this aspect of reaction reality as if we're existing inside of a cube. And inside this cube, sure, we can have a lot of fun labeling things. We can have a lot of fun playing with meaning in that way. But we confine ourselves in a box because we cannot understand that which has not been labeled, that which has not been based upon some type of meaning-based relationship. So that is reaction reality or reality. Secondly, we have actuality. And this is different. This would be a third person reality. In actuality, we have no labels. We have no terms. Everything simply represents that of nature. Nature is the actuality. Everything that exists within nature, we are able to observe, but we don't need to give labels to them. We simply are aware of our own awareness. We are aware of the nature. It is no longer in the aspect of programming. When you're coming into actuality, then this is you functioning together in the third person. You are looking at everything from a bird's eye perspective. And you're moving past the idea of meanings, terms, definitions, identities, titles. So like I said, this can be fun for a certain amount of time, but then we start getting into actuality. And what is it that actuality can actually bring us? Well, we're moving beyond a body, moving beyond the physical body. Everything that represents reality is all part and parcel of us existing within a body, of being a subject, of being a target in that way, and then being able to categorize everything, putting it together in a nice catalog and enjoying everything that we can label, but limiting ourselves to what is nature. So this is the purpose-based reality. But when we're looking into actuality, it is going beyond your own physical conduit. It is going beyond all conduits. It is coming into the nature of creation itself. It's coming into beingness. So, as we enter beingness, we no longer care about this blockchain that represents purpose, that represents meaning, that represents titles, that represents fancy words, that represents drama. No longer matters to us. It's not important about that everything needs to have some type of identification. Everything needs to have some type of name. Everything needs to have some type of title. Everything has to be cataloged, categorized, inventoried in that way. The universe does not work like this. This would represent the artificiality as it represents reality, because we can only gain some type of understanding based upon what we label, right? So when we have those profound out-of-body experiences, we had monumental moments, but we're so heavily programmed into the drama of reality that all we do is basically try to compare it to something that we have labeled, and that takes something away from it. That taints the actual experience of being able to leave your body and going into this majestic realm, this realm of magic in that way. But again, we try and come down to earth, and we try and categorize, we try and title that particular experience, and it's never ever good enough. Thought is the aspect of the distortion to this. We have to try and think about things. And what should I call this? What should I call this monumentous experience? Maybe it's a conversation with God. Maybe it's a message from the one infinite creator. Okay, fine. But that still doesn't even begin to describe what it is that you experienced. You can't do it. You just simply can't. You have these monumental out-of-body states. You have this monumental euphoria of going beyond anything that you can understand this reality to be, and you can't explain it accurately through the idea of a reality. It just doesn't happen. It just taints the experience. It just makes it feel so dismal in that way. But when you come here, and you basically, through nature, experience it through silence. You experience the entire universe. You experience all of creation in your beingness as silence. And when someone else can join you in that silence, there is understanding. Words don't need to be there. Thoughts, ideas, concepts are the shells of limitation. They are small dewdrops that we experience within creation, and we put them in a box, and we call this a concept. We call this an idea. We call this an inception. Great. There can be a lot of fun with that stuff. But again, that is only this. We're existing inside that cube again. Here's a concept. Here's an idea. Here's a shell about what I have, what I've experienced. And then we attempt to label it, categorize it, based upon what we know through reality, through reaction-based reality. But when you're here, when you're connecting with nature, when you're beyond the body, when you're in beingness, you're not confined to this form. You're not confined to this physical earth. You're not confined to this physical reality. You are everything, and you are everyone, and you are beyond that. And now, you are allowing silence to be your teacher. You reflect within yourself from what you experience from that bird's eye view of nature. You are one with nature. If others want to join you, have them join you in silence. And just feel, experience, but be what this represents. And silence is becoming your guide. Silence is becoming your teacher. It is becoming the natural language of creation. The natural language of creation is silence, right? So when we start playing with silence a lot more, and just feel, and just spread our wings in that sense, and go into nature. No identity, no class, no aspect of terms or definitions or titles. That's all gone. We experience creation in the most beautiful ways possible. There is nothing in regards to the aspect of the confinement of this body or to the confinement of this life. Life as we know it does not exist in the way to where we go into beingness. There will always be a vibrational frequency of that, but you're no longer compatible with that particular frequency. You exist now on an entirely different plane of being. And that plane of being is the bird's eye view of all that creation represents. So, this is how we are learning to transition past this. Because as long as we're stuck with this, as long as we're stuck with reality, with response, with reaction, with action-reaction, we're only going to be doing this over and over and over and over again. There's no end to logic. There's no end to terms. There's no end to definitions. There's no end to melodrama. There's no end to survival. The pit, where everybody, or not everybody, but everybody within that pit is constantly striving to survive, is doing what they can to live for another day, to basically need and have and want all of these things so that they can survive. It's like looking into a zombie movie, really, in that way, right? And then we just continue to follow this endless circle of titles, of definitions, of labels. And it never, ever, ever ends. And there's never a satisfaction. You can never get satisfaction from this idea. It's not possible. Yet we continue to feel it. Why? And that's what I'd like to ask you guys. Why? Why do we feel this? Why do we need the aspect of labels? Why do we need the aspect of titles? Well, Brad, maybe it's for people to understand us. Huh. Okay. Maybe it's for somebody to understand us. When you basically come past the state of labels, and you actually come into nature, and you basically let go of all of those thoughts, you let go of all those feelings, and all you are is beingness, you understand another entirely. There doesn't need to be any words. It's like I said, silence is the natural language of creation, right? So when you're working together with silence, you understand everything. Why? Because you're not bonding to anything. You're not attaching to anything. You have no cords that are connecting to other facets of reality, of plateaus that are attempting to bring about meaning. When you're playing with silence, everything understands you. You understand everything. But you don't need anything. You don't need to use anything. You're just here. You're present. And you understand everything, but you don't need to know everything. Right? That's kind of the paradox. And so this is what this represents. We come here because it's a convenience. We come into the idea of reality because it's something that we can associate on a social platform. The social memory complex of Earth, of humanity, relies upon the aspect of reality as we understand the current system. This blockchain of definition. And we feel we want to relate to other people. We want to be able to come to people's levels and being able to have association. And that's understandable. But the whole idea is that we just fall in line with this blockchain and we continue to follow reaction reality and we just feel unhappy. We do not feel fulfilled. We feel on a survival level. We feel like we're in the pit and we're just attempting to survive for another day. We throw so much demand on the body. We throw so much demand on the mind. And we have to take care of this, we have to take care of that, and this is how to be taken care of. And if we don't take care of this, we're not going to survive. And if we don't survive, then we're going to be dead. If we're not going to be dead, then I have to come back in this life and have to do this over again, blah, 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 blah. And it just never, ever ends. Where is there a moment of clarity? You can't have a moment of clarity if you are in reality, right? If you're in reaction-based reality, there is no state of self-clarity. Your self-clarity comes here. It comes into actuality. It comes into nature. It comes into being beyond the body. It comes into beingness. It comes into silence. So when you learn to keep yourself quiet, to go into a space where you're not even actually having to vocally talk, you're letting your chi just settle within the body, and you're letting yourself go into silence. This is where that purity is. No thought within the mind. No feeling within the mind, no responsibilities, no obligations, within the mind. Everything is just pure stillness. It's you and your breath. And you're following that state of centeredness, and now you're leaving the body. And now you're exploring everything that represents yourself. You can't get that from this, right? You're only going to get that through this. So Brad, what are you suggesting? Play with silence. Play with this aspect. Play with the idea of actuality, of working with nature. Don't worry about labeling things. The universe has gone along all this time without it having to label itself. Oh, there's a galaxy. Oh, there's a planet. Oh, there's a star. Oh, there's a nebula. Do you hear the universe saying that? No. It responds through silence. It is aware of all that represents its awareness. But it does not have to put a little tag on something and saying, here's a star, here's a galaxy, here's a nebula, here's a planet, here's a human being, here's a reptilian, here's a Draco, here's a Syrian, right? It does not need to do that. There's no tags when we start to experience these aspects of ourselves, right? So, what would warrant the idea of us continuing to play with this? Only to limit ourselves, only to come into a social complex where we feel that we can only relate to people. And that's really the only reason why we're playing with this, is so we can relate to the people that are within this system. Now we're giving them a new education. Now we're teaching those people about the aspect of actuality, about the aspect of nature, about coming beyond the body, of being beyond this shell. Because it is when you align to nature, not to purpose, that represents your liberation. When you're basically confined to purpose, you won't stop, right? This is my purpose. It's my purpose to do this. It's my passion to do this. It's my purpose to do this. I have to do this, and I'm not going to stop until this purpose is fulfilled. So when are you ever going to give yourself the moment of clarity? Oh, when this purpose is done. Well, that takes you the rest of your life, right? So the whole idea is that if you basically want to label yourself through the drama of purpose, then you're only going to go into further levels of confinement, right? Purpose is only something that we're playing with until we realize purpose is not the idea here. It's not the nature, right? So we follow passion, we follow purpose until we realize that's not what we need anymore, right? I used to follow purpose. I used to follow a lot of passion. Well, Brad, are you still following passion? Not really. I'm following nature. I'm working with nature now to allow this flow to come together with me, and all wonderful things that come my way, excellent. Let's ride it. Let's go down this stream, this current, and let's observe just everything that's coming together through this current and letting it go the instant it comes through. You're not attaching to something, right? That would represent reality. You're letting it flow through you like the current. You're a rock in the river, and you're allowing this water to pass through you. That's what brings actuality. That's what brings nature to life. That's how you understand all that is. That's how you experience the infinite. And you're not attached to it. You let it play its course. You let it go through its current, and you're surrendering to that current. And you're going into isness. You're going into bliss. You're going into beauty. You're going into beingness. That is the true journey that awaits all of us. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Brad Johnson. Any questions, you can go to the newearthteachings.com website. That's going to be up on November 15th. Or, in the meantime, just go to realitywhisperer.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again in another perspective of the now. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.